Give me, I'll open the book. Ready? Ready? Development program all over India, other places, other countries. We focus on other issues. But whatever limited experience and exposure I have, I can tell you that if you want to have the success and excellence in academic career, the best teacher, best academician should be best at different level and different rules. Or for a teacher we say, the best teacher must be a best individual. The best teacher may be best husband or wife, best father, or best uncle, best neighbor, best social individual, best family person, and best spiritual person. So these are the things. And then what I say, if you talk about the success and excellence in academic career, you and I, on an average, we spare about 6 to 8 hours at our institution. And I say, the success and excellence not only depends on how do you spare that 6 to 8 hours at our respective institution. The success and excellence is also dependent on how do you spare remaining 16 hours, whether it is your house or outside. So that remaining 16 hours will have the impact, negative or positive, on your academic profession. Say a best marketing teacher, a best say finance teacher, sometimes may not be best next week, next month or next semester. I am talking about consistency. Not because he is not qualified, not because he doesn't have the experience and exposure, because of some other reason, he may be having difficulty in long run. So, today's, see today's presentation, we started a little bit late, but let me tell the structure. We'll be focusing on continuous learning process, managing academic profession, life system management for the management teachers, and conclusion. As I've told you, it is not only your 6 and 8 hours, how do you spare here, remaining 16 hours, about 16 hours, how do you spare outside of the institution, that will also have the impact on your teaching and academic career. So that is important. So now let us go for introduction. The rule of the teacher. If you are talking about the rule of the teacher, we can write down so many points, a dozen points. But if you summarize in nutshell what we say, see here the teacher I am using teaching profession and teaching, say teacher, it is in generic sense, whether it is for the management or engineering or medicine or any other faculty. I believe the greatness of a teacher is to show the student how capable he is, the potential. What potential he has got, what capability he has got, what ability he has got. We'll have to identify and we'll have to show it to the candidate student that how capable he is, how potential he is. Then it is two-way. The greatness of the student is to live up to the capability he has been shown. It's a two-way. The student has got the responsibility and accountability, whatever teachers they said about his capability, his ability, his potential. So he has to achieve that one. So I think the role of teacher, it is two-way. Whatever was shown, if it is being achieved by the student community, then we can think that okay, we are justifying our role and our profession. So this is my understanding. Let me put the disclaimer here. Whatever we are discussing here, there is no theory and no theorem. It is my assumption or my observation and experience. And there is a high possibility this experience and observation can be debatable. You can argue. It's not like the sciences, the life sciences or any other science. So it is only the experience and that exposure what I had I'm presenting. So we can have the debate on that whether it is right or wrong. Now let us see. The director says the knowledge has to be improved, challenged, and increased constantly, or it vanishes. It happens. We teacher take particular subject. Okay, and after some time we may stop that subject for a few years, and once again you would like to continue. So there is a problem. So the consistency if you do not have, then you will face some problem. So whatever knowledge you have, whatever subject you have, it should be improved, challenged, increased constantly. Most of the management subjects are dynamic in nature, except few. Like if we have here the teacher for accounting, financial accounting. I remember when I started my career with Faculty of Commerce, 11th standard, we had accounting principles there. We call it as a principle of double entry bookkeeping system. We were taught principle of double entry bookkeeping system, debit the receiver, credit the giver in case of personal account. I think even today, 2012, the rule is same. Okay, few of the principles we have when we talk about the QT, statistical analysis, you have few theories or few methods you have for probability and sampling distribution. Those are same, whether it is 80, 90, 2000 or 2012. But what I can tell you, the most of the subjects in management, they are dynamic in nature. They are not static, like accounting, mathematics and statistics. Even in statistics and QT, the application has changed. Where you are applying, that has changed. So point what I am telling, whatever subject you deal, we require some improvement. That should be challenged and increase constantly, otherwise you will lose. I say intangible, you will lose. That's the point. Then, see, this is a research done. In this research we found 97% people do not even know that achieving success was in their own hands. They would blame luck, fate or social status. So we have been traveling across India, few of the rural places of India, we are having same faculty development program. We had few excuses because I am from so and so remote place, so and so village. Their infrastructure is the problem, communication is the problem. My college faces the problem with the electricity. My college was facing the problem with the internet connectivity, the bandwidth. It's okay, you can have the excuse like that. But if you see the world history, I can quote one book called the D100, THED100. If you go to the Google, this book is written by Michael Hart in 1978. What the Michael Hart has done, he has taken, he identified the individuals from last 10,000 years, right from the Adam and Eve, and he identified 100 individuals who are more successful and influential on this earth. If you go to the top 10, you will find the name right from the Jesus, Prophet Muhammad, Buddha, Newton, Einstein, Confucius, all these names are there. If you go for that world ranking of 100 successful person, you will find most of the individuals, they did not have the resources. The scenario was not favorable. They did not have the luck. But still, they were successful, influential, even after 2000 years, 3000 years and 5000 years, we discuss about them. So if you see that books, you will have the ranking of 100 persons. Highly influential and successful person, you go for that book. So the point what I am telling, when you are talking about the success and excellence, it is not on resources available. It is not on favorable scenario. It is not on luck. It is not on your background. It is not your religion, caste, creed, whatever you say. It's not that one. We can have the success. What we say, it is, we blame luck, fate, social status. I think it is only the myth. Now Confucius says, our greatest glory is not in never falling. Falling, failure is there. We fail, we have failure. The point is here, what happens after that fall? What happens after that failure? Are we going to make next attempt or not? That makes the difference. It happens in our career, academic career or professional career, whatever we do academically, whether it is teaching, research, consulting, training, whatever we say, there is a high possibility we may fail. We may fail. In one of the athletic competition, so one of my friend, he told that I was runner-up. Runner-up means I was second, but there were only 2 competitors. So the point is, what I am telling, in this scenario it is okay, you stood second, but most of the competition, there is a possibility one person will win and other will lose. Doesn't make any difference. But the point is, what happens after that failure and fall? Are we going to make the next attempt or not? In our academic career, whatever we do, teaching, research, training and consulting, there is a possibility. But the point is, we have to make next attempt. If you ask me, the difference between the success and failure is only the last 10%. As per my knowledge, any profession you take, the 90% of the efforts will be more or less same. What you do and what I do, it is 90% same. Only the last 10% will make the difference. But unfortunately, the last 10%, it requires a lot of efforts and struggle. That's the point. So whether you are able to do it or not, that's important. So I make the quote, I say to the management student that your determination will determine the destination. How determined you are, it will determine your destination, whether you are going to achieve or not. I told you in the inaugural session, because when you go to the press, media people know, they put so many questions. They're telling how you are going to do that 1,000 teachers. Then I told, we'll do it. We are confident. No, that in press conference, no, everybody will be telling like that. Then I told that the press conference is addressed by an academician and a teacher. If the teacher, if they commit something and if they don't implement, they don't oblige, I don't think that we are justifying for our profession. I think it is our commitment. If we commit and we have to do it and we have to achieve it. So the point what I was telling, it is about the fall and failure. We should not be bothered about that one. We'll have to continue. And then, see, this type of session I get for other professionals also. The last lecture I had this managing work-life balance at All India Institute of Medical Sciences, because I teach a course there to the MD course. I had a lecture that managing work-life balance for the healthcare professionals. There also we have similar problems. And I make a statement, few of you may not be believing, I say the doctors are bad patients. It is proved. Because they are bothered, they focus on health of others except themselves. And sometimes the teachers are also the bad students. So it happens, because why I am quoting this one, I myself is a teacher, so something like that. So the point what I am telling, the continuous learning process. When we are in teaching profession, academic profession, learning, it is a prerequisite. The point is, what is the learning process? The learning process, you will have to learn, you will have to relearn. You will have to update yourself, you have to upgrade yourself. And the third one is unlearning. Anybody? Anybody can contribute to unlearning? Unlearning?
What are mistakes we have learned? Now, like we have to remove that and we have to accept what is the truth and we have to learn that.
Maybe. Whatever mistake or whatever is not required may not be the mistake. Unlearning.
And need not be mistakes.
Yeah.
As time changes, many of the things which we have already learned becomes obsolete.
Absolutely. It happens. I think this is the proper answer. It happens. It happens mostly in management education. Other courses, master's degree, there no, most of the subjects are static in nature. You're going on continuing the same thing. because here the subjects are dynamic in nature, something you may not be required. I'll tell you, I got my appointment in 91 to teach IT subjects, computers. There was a subject called PC software. I remember it was 91, 21st October 1991, the first class in BA first semester, PC software. I was supposed to take the class, I was teaching there MS-DOS. MS-DOS, internal and external commands. DOS. And then it is what star? What is star? What processor? Then it was DBase 3 plus, Lotus 1, 2, 3. That I did it. I think today we have kept in the museum all those things. We can show it to the school student once upon a time in 80s and 90s, all these things we used to have. Something like that. We stopped that one because my son who is in 10th class, he has got the programming in Java. Programming in Java. My daughter who is in 3rd class, she talks about the block diagram of computer, input and output devices. This is the change. So whatever is may not be requiring, it is not right or wrong, may not be required, may not be suitable, you will have to stop. I think we Indian teachers should believe in all these things. The last 1 month, I think from 24th April to 18th May, I was in US and UK. I spent my time at Harvard, Stanford, Wharton, Kellogg, and Johns Hopkins University, London Business School and London School of Economics. And after that, I made a presentation about building world-class B schools in Hyderabad. So in conclusion, I found there is a trust for learning and even for unlearning also. Because the Dean Stanford was telling, our faculty has got the autonomy deciding about the course content. They can change every year, they can change every semester, they can change even in the semester also. Half of them they have taught and remaining half they can have the change. So they believe in learning, not only learning, it is unlearning. So I made a point, there is a trust for learning and unlearning. So I think this is required. And there is a saying, that for management education, see, it is not only individual learning, the worldwide we talk about the collaborative learning. Collaborative learning. 2 faculty members, group of faculty members, they can. But unfortunately, let me make statement here what happens in our traditional management institute, traditional and conventional. I don't think that a 2 faculty member, particularly if I take the example of marketing and finance, I say there is a relationship something like husband and wife. Marketing and finance. Always the marketing person, he says that no, it is the core function, and finance person, he says it is the core function. That's one. So I think this reservation will not help. So we'll have to collaborate with others, we should learn with others. And one more scenario I found, typical one, that no, I do not have relationship with so-and-so faculty member, so-and-so friend. Because always he is my critic and opponent. I used to quote that no, whatever efficiency we have, what we are going to achieve, the credit also goes to the critics and opponents. Do you agree? Because after taking the charge of president, there was a felicitation in Hyderabad. They asked me, few of them, that how you could achieve the success. And I told no, thanks to my critics and opponents, because always they are after me actually. They are putting some scanner on me. It happens, if I have got few close friends, even if I do the nonsense activity, they praise me like anything. What a work you have done. But if it is critic and opponent, they have the scanner on you. How do you stand? How do you talk? What you do, what you don't do. Even if there is a 1% deficiency, they will criticize. I think this is important. So let me tell that Master of Sarvanishi was telling, there is a great poet from Mumbai. He has written, it is in Urdu, but I'll try to translate. Madam, I'll try to translate. Usually something is translated from one language, you will not get 100% impact. But he has written, मुखालिफतों से मेरी शख्सियत संवरती है. मुखालिफतों से मेरी शख्सियत संवरती है. मैं अपने दुश्मनों का बड़ा एहतराम करता हूँ. Poet says, because of my critics and opponents, I am groomed positively.